Nearly 2 months after a Highlands County deputy was shot and killed responding to a domestic call between neighbors, his legacy will live on. After his death, Deputy William Gentry Jr. saved at least 5 lives with his donated organs. To honor his memory, the state is waiving the $31.25 fee that would normally apply when adding an organ donor designation. This is statewide. It is still, though, up to each county to decide whether to waive the $6.25 tax collector fee.